a lot of fun. We had chickens and ducks and geese, turkeys, sheep, cows and goats, feeding them, putting them where they belong, putting them into their place. And we'd have to get up early in the morning, and each one had a chore to do. When we were able to do that, each one had a chore to do. We'd have to get up and feed the chickens early, collect the eggs, then feed the other animals around that needs those cows to be milked, calves to be fed, and everything like that. And we worked all day around doing them things. In the winter time, it wasn't so very good. It was very lot of snow. Not as much as they have here, though, but a sizable amount of snow. We used to get out and make snowmen, throw snowballs, had a lot of fun. And we always had, when we got big enough, when I got big enough to go, we always had neighbourhood dances. It was always an old couple that would have their children all gone and have a nice house. We'd get in there for dance. And we'd have a lot of fun. I had three brothers and one sister. And we had a good deal of fun. I had an older brother, and one older than me, and one younger than me, and two younger.
The older one?
Phil. And the older brother Phil, he was a great guy. We had a lot of fun on the farm. And my father used to come out with us, and obviously he would play ball them days, and all ride bicycles and things like that. We got along real good. And everybody did their share. We'd have to go to school. We'd all get up in the morning, get dressed, ready for school. We had a very nice school teacher, lady, but there was a man teacher, and he was very cross. All year long he would spend playing music and singing songs and whistling, and then when it would come up to examination, the inspector would be coming in, the kids would be ready, and he'd decide to get them ready by using a cane and whipping. And they wouldn't learn anything at all then. They'd stay home for a couple of days, and all that he did was spoil. And so, we had several games over there. We played and everything like that. It was a great big playground, and we all got together and we'd have a dance in the school every once in a while. And we had a great deal of fun in our own way.
Cool.
Then we got bigger, and things changed around. We had to work a little bit harder. We had everybody had a chore, the cows and the calves and the geese and the turkeys. And I'll never forget, I got an awful licking from the male goose, the gander, one time. I went over to help him to get the little geese across the stream, and he got hold of me by the leg and he flapped me with them two wings. I couldn't walk for a couple of days, but it was a good excuse. I didn't have to go and take care of the geese anymore. And my father would come with us, and he'd help us with the calves and the cows and everything like that, and then he would come with us and play ball.
What was your father's name and your mother's name?
Oh, my father's name was Arthur McCullough. My mother's name was Bridget Black. And they were brought up next door to each other in the old country. She came out in the early years, she came out to Milwaukee. She was out here 8 or 9 years, and she went back home, and she married him, and they were along very happy together. But we were very happy too. We had a very nice, happy home. Great big farm and lots of everything on it too. But he died suddenly, and he really broke everything up. I know my brother Phil was 12, I was 10, and the other ones were younger, of course. Arthur was just 3 years old. And
how old was Essie?
Essie was she was about 6. And we were all little, and we had a great big harvest of hay. Here they would call it grass, I guess, dry grass. And there had to be a lot of work done to that. It had to be, they had to trash it, get the seed off, and then they would get their carts and cart it up to a garden close to home. They'd build a huge big hay rick, hay stack. And that was a lot of fun for us, lots of fun. See, so we were, on a Saturday we were having a lot of fun. We finished up early, come up to the house and had something to eat and played ball, and everything was feeling fine, and my father came with us over to a field to straighten up some things there. On the way home he said that he didn't feel good. He was told he was going to go to bed for a while. But that didn't bother us at all. We went out and started the game again, and somebody else said that we're playing ball in another field. We went over there and everything like that. All night long he was sick. And so the following morning we called in the priest. and the doctor too, and they said that he was very sick. They didn't say much, wasn't very much for his chance. And it was on a Sunday, and when anybody die over there, it will be Sunday morning, it will be announced in the church. This was Sunday, and the whole week was ahead. So people saw him out in the field Saturday, working. Anyhow, he died very suddenly Sunday afternoon. And oh dear, it was just terrible. It was an awful, it was a disaster. All the people around are coming to the house and everything like that. And then my mother didn't know just what to do after she was buried. And then there was a lot of these freeloaders would come along looking for what they could get for cheap. So they're all giving her an advice. Oh, rent out the farm and sell the cattle, rent out the farm and send the kids all to school and give them a good education. And you're not going to be able to do this and that. And a kid of 12 years old, the oldest one, and my brother Phil, and he was very much in love with the horses and everything that we had. We had everything on the farm to work with. So one man would come along and he said, well, I think you're very foolish to try to take care of this yourself. You just can't do it, and the kids are being neglected and this and that. And then another fellow come along and say, well, with a little bit of help, I don't see why you couldn't make out. You got everything to work with and all this and that. So, well, I remember one day she called us all in and she said, well, you heard what everybody had to say. Some of the people want me to sell everything and let's just go to school and have a life of luxury here. And I don't know just what to do. I know it's going to be an awful struggle for all of us. And music would start all up again. We had a nice time anyhow, but
she can remember from her early days.
oh well, last children must be told on me about little girls' lives over in Ireland. I had a very nice life. Far back as I can remember. I think I can remember back when I was 2 or 3 years old. And we had a farm. We had a big farm. And we had a lot of fun. We had chickens and ducks and geese, turkeys, sheep, cows and goats. And we used to be out playing among them all the time, feeding them, putting them where they belong, putting them into their place. And we'd have to get up early in the morning and each one had a chore to do. When we were able to do that, each one had a chore to do. We'd have to get up and feed the chickens early, collect the eggs, then feed the other animals around the meals. There's cows to be milked, cows to be fed, and everything like that. And we worked all day around doing them things. In the winter time it wasn't so very good. It was very lot of snow. Not as much as they have here though, but a sizable amount of snow. We used to get out and make snowmen, throw snowballs, have a lot of fun. And we always had, when I got big enough to go, we always had neighbourhood dances. It was always an old couple that would have their children all gone and have a nice house. We'd get in there with friends. And we'd have a lot of fun. I had 3 brothers and 1 sister. And we had a good deal of fun. I had an older brother, and 1 older than me, and 1 younger than me, and 2 younger than me.
The older one?
Phil. And older brother Phil, he was a great guy. We had a lot of fun on the farm. And my father used to come out with us, and obviously he would play ball them days, and all ride bicycles and things like that. We got along real good. And everybody did their share. We'd have to go to school. We'd all get up in the morning, get dressed, ready for school. We had a very nice school teacher, lady, but there was a man teacher, and he was very cross. All year long he would spend playing music and singing songs and whistling, and then when it would come up to examination, the inspector would be coming in, the kids would be ready, and he'd decide to get them ready by using a cane. And they wouldn't learn anything at all then. They'd stay home for a couple of days. and all that he did was spoil. And so, we had several games over there. We played and everything like that. It was a great big playground, and we all got together and we'd have a dance in the school every once in a while, and we had a great deal of fun in our own way. Then we got bigger, and things changed around. We had to work a little bit harder. We had everybody had a chore: the cows and the calves and the geese and the turkeys. And I'll never forget, I got an awful licking from the male goose, the gander, one time. I went over to help him to get the little geese across the stream, and he got a hold of me by the leg and he flapped me with them two wings. I couldn't walk for a couple of days, but it was a good excuse. I didn't have to go out and take care of the geese anymore. And my father would come with us, and he'd help us with the calves and the cows and everything like that, and then he would come with us and play ball.
What was your father's name and your mother's name?
Oh, my father's name was Arthur McCowan. My mother's name was Bridget Black. And they were brought up next door to each other in the old country. She came out in the early years, she came out to Milwaukee. She was out here 8 or 9 years, and she went back home, and she married him, and they were long very happy together. But we were very happy too. We had a very nice, happy home, great big farm and lots of everything on it too. But he died suddenly, and he really broke everything up. I know my brother Phil was 12, I was 10, and the other ones were younger, of course. Arthur was just 3 years old. And
how old was Essie?
Essie was she was about 6. And we were all little, and we had a great big harvest of hay. Here they would call it grass, I guess, dry grass. And there had to be a lot of work done to that. It had to be, they had to trash it, get the seed off, and then they would get their carts and cart it up to a garden close to home, and they'd build a huge big haystack. And that was a lot of fun for us, lots of fun. See, so we were, on a Saturday we were having a lot of fun. We finished up early, come up to the house and had something to eat and played ball, and everything was feeling fine, and my father came with us over to a field to straighten up some things there. On the way home he said that he didn't feel good. He was told he was going to go to bed for a while. But that didn't bother us at all. We went out and started the game again, and somebody else said that we're playing ball in another field. We went over there and everything like that. All night long he was sick. And so the following morning we called in the priest and the doctor too, and they said that he was very sick. They didn't say much. Wasn't very much for his chance. And it was on a Sunday, and when anybody die over there, it'll be Sunday morning, it'll be announced in the church. This was Sunday, and the whole week was ahead. So people saw him out in the field Saturday, working. Anyhow, he died very suddenly Sunday afternoon. And oh dear, it was just terrible. It was an awful, it was a disaster. All the people around are coming to the house and everything like that, and then my mother didn't know just what to do after she was buried, and then there was a lot of these freeloaders would come along looking for what they could get for cheap. So they're all giving her an advice. Oh, rent out the farm and sell the cattle, rent out the farm and send the kids all to school and give them a good education. And you're not going to be able to do this and that. And a kid of 12 years old, the oldest one, and my brother Phil, and he was very much in love with the horses and everything that we had. We had everything on the farm to work with. So one man would come along and he said, well, I think you're very foolish to try to take care of this yourself. You just can't do it, and the kids are being neglected and this and that. And then another fellow come along and say, well, with a little bit of help, I don't see why you couldn't make out. You got everything to work with and all this and that. So, well, I remember one day she called us all in and she said, well, you heard what everybody had to say. Some of the people want me to sell everything and let's just go to school and have a life of luxury here. And I don't know just what to do. I know it's going to be an awful struggle for all of us. And you would have to stay home and help me and all this. So Phil spoke up and he says, well, you know something, Ma? If you sell everything that you got here now, you're just never going to get it together again, like my father had it. You'll never be able to get it together again. And look at all this, the farm implements would have to go, the horses and the cows and everything like that, and you're just never going to get them together again. So I tell you what, never mind about school. We'll all stay home and help you. And the younger ones can go. And you can get somebody, some of the men in the neighbourhood that are not working to come in and help you. And we had one very good neighbour, John Matthews. My father and him were good friends. And so he said, he didn't think it would be a great problem at all, that he would help out all he could. And you could get workers very cheap, very cheap. So she decided to keep everything. And then she said, well, there's just one thing too, we did not be able to go to school for a while. We were glad to hear that. There was music in our ears, that we didn't have to go to school. So we all stayed home and helped, and we got all the crop in the ground in the springtime and everything that wasn't supposed to do all summer. We always had a real nice summer. And then in the fall again, music would start all up again. We had a nice time anyhow, but we all grew up, and school was passé. So I had a brother, John, my second brother, and he was quite spunky, and he couldn't get along with his schoolmaster. And he quit going to school too, and said he would stay home and help us. He was tickled to death. Well, that was music to our ears, that we couldn't go to school. So anyway, after about a year, he stayed home with us, and we were all getting along really great. And after about a year, doesn't the government bring out some kind of a compulsory education? And you had to go to school until you were 14 years old. And he wasn't, I think he was only about 10 or maybe 11, a little over 11. And he just was heartbroken, and he didn't want to go back to that old schoolmaster and all this. So he went to a different school, there's someone at the door, a different parish. And he got along really well, got along good. So we all got along good. And we all grew up and had a nice time on the farm, and years rolled on. And then one time John decided, well, if one of his boyfriends went out to America, and he wrote a letter back, and he said it was very nice out here, and that the work wasn't hard, and the weather was beautiful and all this. And he said, when should you make up your mind to come out? So after John graduated and worked for about a year at home, he decided he would go out. And so he left for America. And my mother hated to see him go, but there wasn't anything she could do really about it. That was his choice. That's the way he wanted. And so my mother had 2 sisters out here at the time, and my father had a sister out here. So there were 3 aunts out here, and lots of cousins and everything. So we got along real well, and we got along real well at home, and Philip was growing up then, and everything was going great on the farm, and plenty of everything and that. And well, then over there they had a custom, and it was this, that the oldest boy should get the farm, and the other boys they'd all get a certain sum of money. Whoever was around, they would get a certain sum of money and get out. But it would happen once in a while over there that the oldest boy would decide to get married. And any of these girls always hanging around with no sign of going away from home, they'd have to decide on something or another for themselves. So there was a bunch of nice girls, and every once in a while you'd hear a girl dropping off here and there and going to America. And the ones that had gone before that would be home. They'd be all dressed up so nice and tell about the nice things in America and all that. And I got an idea that I'd like to go. And I thought it over for a long time, and when I told my mother, she had a fit. She said, no, that there was plenty for me to do at home. I said, I know that. But there's other things too. And Essie, poor Essie, now you know your little sister Essie, and she's going to school, and this and that and that and that. So I said, well, I know she's going to school and all that. Well, she felt so bad about it, I thought, well, I'll wait another year to see how she feels about it then. Well, John wrote home then, and he said, you'll make up your mind to come out here. He said, because they can get along there without you, and you better come out. Well, then I just didn't know what to do, because we were having all kinds of fun at home. And we'd go at night, there'd be dances somewhere, and then there'd be a wake. There'd surely be an old people's wake. It was better than any dance. And weddings, and if somebody was leaving for America, there'd be a dance. But all told, we had a lot of fun, and there was no reason for us to leave home at all. But as time wore on, and these girls would be coming home from America and that, and I decided I'd like to go. So finally, the second throw I made it. She said, well, what are you going to do if you go to America? I said, I don't know till I get there what I'm going to do. So she decided to let me go. Then
how old were you?
20.
Weren't you scared though?
20 years old. No.
To leave there and come strange?
No, I wasn't scared, because I had plenty of relatives here. I had 3 aunts and cousins, and John was here ahead of me, my brother. He was a year ahead of me. So I came out here, and Oh, met us down at the, we went to New York. I remember we were 8 days on the ocean, and it was just beautiful, but we didn't appreciate it. You couldn't see anything but the sky and the water. There was nothing in sight to see. I remember one day we saw another boat going by, and oh, there, we thought we were in some big town. So anyway, we got into New York, and the sun was shining so nice down on the Statue of Liberty. And then
What year was that? What year was that?
That was in 1914. And I saw the sun was shining beautiful down on the Statue of Liberty, and I remember seeing this Lackawanna Railroad. I think it was. I know it was a Lackawanna, wherever it was. And then they were divided up. The third-class passengers had to go to Ellis Island and be examined there by a doctor. And of course, if you had anything wrong with you, or if you had a cough, you'd have to remain over there till everything would clear up. And a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and if it wouldn't clear up, they'd send you back home. So, but we hadn't to go in there. But when the boat pulled in and that, and people started getting off, we were up high, up in the second cabin. We watched these stage passengers, including the ones that were with us. There's 2 or 3 of them with us, and they had to go into stage. And they were just walking like a bunch of cattle. They steered them into this place, and after they were all in there and taken care of, the lady came in on the boat, a lady and a man, and they lined us up. And they said, you're going to Chicago, you have to get in this lane here. And we had to give them a lot of information. And she said, I'm going out and, she said, I'm going to bring you out to the restaurant and get you a meal before you go on the train. And she said, you have to, I think we had to go on a little boat from there over to Jersey City, where we got the train. It's just a short ride on a boat to where we got the train. But she said, I'll leave you in the restaurant, and I'm going out to get some things to make up a lunch, to pack up a lunch for you for the train, because that was 8 days from we left home, and it would take us 2 days and a night, or 2 nights and a day to still get to Chicago. So she went in there, and as we were sitting at the table and everything, and what goes by but a coloured man? And we never saw a coloured man, and up we get, and out of the restaurant, and down the street after the coloured man. We never saw a coloured man, and they'd call them darkies. There's the darkie. Well, then we got so far away we didn't know how to get back. So finally, she come looking for us, and she took us back and gave us a good talking to. And then you had to have a statement with you that you left home all right, that you didn't run away, and where you were going in Chicago, and who you were going to see, and how much money you had with you, and all this. So we got on the train then for Chicago, and the smoke of that thing, the windows open, and smoke blew on us all the time, blowing in, blowing out. And then they come around one day they had coffee and everything nice, and they come around one day, and on the train, she says, you want tea or coffee? I said, no. She says, you want coffee? I said, no, I'd rather have tea. She says, okay. And she came along with a big cup of green tea. I thought it was cabbage water. And well, anyhow, we managed along till we got to Chicago. Then my aunts and uncles and my brother, they all met us, and brought us home, and we had a wonderful time. And he was telling me all the things that happened and everything like this, and it was great for about a week. Everything was going great, and everybody was coming to see you and bringing you things, and pie and cookies and everything like this, and it was great. Well, then the place that I was going to work in, it was ready for me for a week or two before I got there even, and they called up and said that I better make up my mind when I want to come and start work. So I went to work at this place. It was a very nice hospital, and my aunt, she was the head dietitian, and I went in to work with her. And it was lovely. The dishes for the patients were little, and
do you remember the name of the hospital?
Yeah, North Chicago, at 2551 North Clark Street. And it was owned by 3 Jewish brothers that came over from somewhere over in Europe, Germany, I think. And there was a German cook, a great big fat woman. She was very, very nice. And we were having a lot of fun, but I began to think, gee, now, I'm a long ways away from my aunts, and I'm a long ways away from my brother John, and that they were all on the west side, and so, I was beginning to feel very lonesome for home. And I thought, well, I don't dare write and ask my mother to tell me to send my fare to go back home.
Where were you living on the
Never
north?
do that.
Oh.
Where I stayed, where I worked.
Oh, you were living in the hospital?
Yeah, we had a little place there. And I would never write and ask her to send me my fare to come back. Never do that. But I was awful lonesome. So one day I went over to visit her. We would have a day off every week. And I went over to visit her and we were talking and so I says, don't you people ever have a wake around here? Oh yes indeed we do. She was very jolly. Yes indeed we do. We have plenty of wakes. Yes indeed. When I said the first time you had a wake I wish you'd let me know because there's just nothing to do around up there. And most of the girls don't talk English. They talk, there's a German and Slavish, Polish, Bohemian and some other kind, and I says there's hardly any, just 2 or 3 that talk English. But I had a girl with me that came with me from Ireland, and we worked together. So anyway, she called me up this morning and said that James King or John King died or something, and the wake would be tonight. Oh boy, did we get busy and we got all our work done up early and we got ready and started off with the wake. And we were planning what we would do and what songs, if they'd ask us to sing, what songs we'd sing and all this, you know. And over we goes to the wake and went in and we thought that they were all waiting for somebody. Nobody was talking, only just easy to each other. The corpse was all dressed up like he was going to a wedding or somewhere else with a collar and tie and we were so disgusted with the wake. We didn't ask to go to another one. So then after a while I got going out with these girls to their places and they had lovely homes. And so I worked there I think for 3 or 4 years more. Well, then I thought, I used to go downtown into the stores and see all these lovely, beautiful dishes and glasses and silverware and everything like that. And so I'd come home and tell my aunt about them, and she'd say, yeah, well, the richer people, you know, that has a maid to do their work. That's what they do. They have all them things, and you have to know how to set up the table nice and how to serve, and where to put the knife and where to put the spoon and fork and everything like that. And you have to go through a regular training, but when you get it done, it's beautiful. So I thought, well, me for that regular training. So I didn't say anything to anybody, but I told the old German lady I was going to quit, and she had a fit. And one day, I wasn't very long there, I know, and my aunt also was in the diet kitchen, and there was some of these very sick people, they'd order something different, and they called it short orders. Well, this cook would go out early in the morning to the butcher shop, and she'd order the meat for the day and everything they needed for the day, and then if they needed anything extra, right across the street from the hospital was a little delicatessen store, and they could furnish all they call them short orders. So she came into the diet kitchen one day and she said, would I mind going across the street and ordering a pound of sweetbreads for the hospital? So I said I would. She said, you better look out for the streetcar because they come so quick. So I went across the street and this great big German butcher come up and asked me what I wanted, and I told him I wanted a pound of sweetbreads, and I had